Welcome to Australia via television. All into Melbourne.
Is it? It's not that, it's Melbourne, right?
No.
Melbourne.
Right, the best of Volume 1. And you were saying before, I mean, like, there were so many tracks. I mean, you didn't realise you had so many hits?
I think when you're in the middle of making the music, you don't really have an objective view of it until you stand back. And it was a close friend of mine, who's also a fan of the band, who, after he listened to the record, just happened to mention, I didn't realize how many doggone, hits you guys had.
Right.
No. And, and I started listening to it, because when we put it together, we were trying to put it in a chronological order.
Sure.
So you're more objective about it, rather than getting personal with the music,
Right.
Then you step back and you listen, and you go, man, yeah, the guy is right. There are a lot of great tunes on that record.
Yeah, that's better. I was going to say, that's a better way to put it, because they're really not hits. I don't think we've ever, outside of Jump, we've never had a top 10 hit.
Yes, but I mean, like,
quote hit, what I mean?
I mean, from the album point of view, and so many albums, and so many tracks came out of that, whether they were single hits, it was incidental. It was like the hits of the numbers themselves.
There's a lot of songs on there that people like.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, if you were to go on stage, say next week, and you're about to perform,
it would have to take us a couple of weeks of training first to get back into shape. But go ahead.
All of these songs, I mean, you play all these songs.
We will be playing anything and everything, yes.
Yeah?
Because well, let's not get into this, but yes, we'll be doing anything and everything, the whole the whole shebang, including the new stuff.
Whatever we can squeeze into 2.5 hours.
I mean, to have Volume 1, I mean, obviously there's going to be a Volume 2.
Maybe.
Yeah?
Sooner or later.
Well, there's so many more songs apart from this.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, coming down to the selection of these songs, was it...
no, Ed picked them all.
Yeah?
I'm just kidding.
You must have been doing a lot of homework, Ed. I mean, up all night, were you?
No, actually, it was more you and Ray, I think.
What it really boiled down to was to try to cover what basically is 18 years of music and put it on one disc. We figured the best approach would be to take 2 songs from each record and have a chronological running order, so that the people who really like what we do kind of get an idea of where the band came from, how it progressed, and how it changed.
Right.
A lot of it had to do with the, with the internet fans.
Sure.
We have fans who are like, what, 12, 14, 15 years old who don't have, their first exposure to the band was the Balance record, their last studio record, and they're going, when they find out we had, 12 other records or 11, how many do we got now? Lost count.
Lost count, too.
I think just 13,
I'm a drummer, I only count to 4.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about internet...
no, but what I'm saying is fans would ask, when they found out that we had so many other records out, which one do I buy?
Sure.
And it would have been easy for us, hey, buy them all.
But
instead, we figured if we give them a taste of each one, because each record has a slightly different vibe, you know what I mean? And if they hear 2 songs, like, say, Panama or Jump, they'll go, hey, I'll buy 1984. If they like Unchained or whatever, they'll buy Fair Warning.
Right.
And, hopefully they'll buy them all, but...
Well, I mean, when you talk about internet, I mean, the pages, I mean, there's volumes on internet about Van Halen, I don't know if you can keep up with it, or do you know all about... They seem to know all about you. I don't know, they may know more than you know about yourselves.
Internet is kind of an interesting thing, is because it only takes a couple of people to sit there and spread, basically, either gossip or whatever it is that goes on. The moment you start playing with that computer, you're going to get sucked into it. I know people who sit there for hours and just stare at that screen.
It's like playing a pinball machine.
You get sucked into it.
It's a waste of time.
But getting back to the record, the thing that we wanted to do was to make sure that this is not the end of an era, this is not the end of or a change of an era, and that's why we put 2 new songs on there. See, we wanted the fans to know where we're at now, this is the music we're making, and it's kind of a transitional thing, that you understand this is where we're going.
Right.
Because like you said, with internet, now they have these things called enhanced CDs, where you take them and you put them in your computer, and they put little graphics in there, and you little punch your buttons here and there, and you look through doors and little jokes are in there. We didn't want to do that. We filled the entire disc with music.
Sure.
And instead of putting, you know, like a lot of bands, they put like unused B tracks on, we decided to do 2 brand new songs, you know.
Well, now, before we get onto the 2 new songs, going back to when basically Van Halen was formed, can you think back then to what your aspirations were? I mean, did you ever dream that it would go on and on and on and become one of, Van Halen would become one of the most established?
I knew that we would be making music. Whether we'd make money at it or not was a whole different story, but
Right.
our father supported a family of 4, you know, making music, and that's basically our inspiration and our environment, and that's how we grew up. All we knew was that. I remember graduating high school, everybody going, "So, which college you going to?" College?
How do you spell that?
No, what I mean is, you know, we didn't have the money to go to college. So, indirectly, we kind of just, this is all we knew how to do,
Right.
you know? And whether it's, you know, really, when we're in the studio, at the end of the day, and we walk out, it's not about, let's hope that if we like what we hear and it touches us or moves us and we're excited about it, we let it out. And all we can hope for is that it touches somebody else with it,
Right.
you know? And that's mission accomplished. Whether you sell 1 million or 2 copies, it's irrelevant, you know, because we would be doing this regardless, you know? It's not about how many records you sell. I mean,
Sure.
I mean, it's definitely a bonus when, you know, it's, what do you call it, a stamp of approval when the fans say, yeah, I like what you're doing, you know?
Well, when you first burst onto the scene with the first album, then the second album, and things then start to go, I mean, really quite crazy, they start getting bigger and bigger. Did you, at that time, realise how big you were coming, not just in America, but worldwide?
Still don't have a clue, really.
No?
No.
Because we were like kids in a candy store.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you talk about rock bands and what goes on behind the scenes, we did it all. And it was a lot of fun. But our main priority, and always was and always will be, was that when we hit the stage, that we were in prime form. Our main commitment is to the music. You know, the rest is icing on the cake. You know what I'm talking about.
It's just all about the music, you know?
And as far as the rest of the stuff, you're really only playing for one person at a time. When you have one of our records, you're the only one listening to it. Does it matter that 10 million other people have it? No,
Right.
just you. And that's what it's about.
Well, I mean, I can remember going back the first time I ever saw you at Madison Square Gardens, and I'd come over, you know, from Australia, and big Van Halen fan. I wasn't ready for that night.
Did you like it?
I loved it, but I wasn't ready. Like, I was around 10 rows back, and bang, on it came. I'd never quite seen anything quite that big at that time, you know, and it was big.
Come on, you about AC/DC.
Well, AC/DC, no, AC/DC. But,
Oh, you're talking about the band. I'm sorry.
no, I'm talking about the actual staging and everything like that. I mean, AC/DC are one of the great bands, but
Yeah.
on staging on that level at Madison, it was just enormous, you know. Did it get too big for you? I mean, the staging and everything else?
I think it was partially a thing of, you know, nobody reinvents the wheel.
Yeah.
You know, you learn from people who you respect and admire. And the Rolling Stones always had a big production, you know.
Yeah.
They can play a small club, they can play the combo, and they can do those kind of things. But the production adds to it. Look at Pink Floyd, you know.
Yeah.
The music is spectacular, but yet they have a big production.
Sure.
And at that time, that was the way we felt. We wanted to have the production as big as the music and as powerful
It was over
as
the
the
top.
rest. And yeah, it was over the top. And then we changed our minds.
But for, you know, there's a time and place for everything, and it was right for the time, you know? Whereas now we try to focus more on
Simplicity.
not being over the top
Yeah.
with the show end of it, you know, even though, you know, we do, you know, it's very important to us also to not just get up there and play the songs, otherwise people could stay home and listen to the
Yeah,
record,
sure.
you know? So,
No, I mean, I was certainly not being critical of it. I thought it was just fantastic. And that night, I mean, I'd lingered around in my mind for ages. But I'd go home and felt guilty because because I mean, Van Halen is you've got such a huge following in Australia. And they said, well, when are they coming to Australia?
we are
you know?
coming after the
Yes.
next studio record.
Yeah?
That's right.
And I hear the record's still in the top 10.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But I mean, the thing is that I kept saying, oh, they'll come, they'll come, they'll come.
Wow.
And unfortunately,
Let's not get
because of
into why we haven't.
Yeah.
But we are coming.
Yeah. the last time I actually did an interview with you was actually when Sammy had just joined the band, and you were rehearsing down somewhere in LA, and I was actually catching a flight home that night, you know. Why Can't This Be Love was the track that I was listening to, and hadn't been released, and it just blew me away, that track, you know. And then watching it become a major hit. The transition from David to Sammy was a touchy one at the time. I remember I wasn't allowed to mention David, you know. Now that you've gone through another cycle, looking back on those years, say with David and then with Sammy, they must have been good times as well as, you know.
Oh,
absolutely.
When I listen to that, it's all good times.
Yeah.
You know, the whole transition between Dave to Sammy, to me, was seamless.
Yeah.
You know, outside of the mudslinging in the press,
Yeah.
which the press also digs for and wants.
Absolutely do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because as hard as we tried in his latest episode, we tried to just take the high road and not say a word.
Mm-hmm.
But when people on the internet again and whatever are saying, hey, how can Sammy and Dave both be wrong?
Right.
We had to respond and say, they're both lying. You know?
Right.
But anyway, you know, to me, again, with Gary Cherone now, it's seamless again. We're just moving on. You know?
All right, going back to those years with David Lee Roth, again, as
It's kind of an expensive name, isn't it?
It is.
Don't forget the diamond.
Yeah, the diamond.
Actually,
Diamond as well.
Your first, that's what happened. That's the first.
CZ,
This is
zirconium.
no, that's the first set of neurotic behavior. First it was Dave, then it was Dave Roth, then it was David Lee Roth, then it became Diamond David Lee Roth. I'm wondering what's next.
Diamond David Lee Roth TV.
I got to tell you, when we worked with these guys, we loved them. They were great, and we had a lot of fun, you know. But just like in any relationship, sometimes things just go sour, and it's that simple, you know. It's
We're both
just
very talented, and we had a lot of great times together, and I respect them both on a musical level.
Right. Van Halen through those years started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. How much pressure was put on you as the songwriters, etc., to come up with the goods time and time again? I mean, you know, there was...
None at all.
Not at all?
No.
I'd seen Ed suffer through, you know, some tough periods.
Yeah, but it's not-
but that wasn't because of the pressure from
Personal
anybody.
reasons,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was. He was looking for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
We all are. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you mean? You know, you're always saying me. It's all of us.
No,
you
no,
know?
no, but I meant.
We sit around and we experiment. You know, we're still trying to get that elusive drum sound that we hear
Right.
in our head. You know,
Right.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's not about topping yourself in a
Commercial
in a
sense.
commercial, you know, in the public,
Sure.
whatever. Hey, this record's better than that one. Hey,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, to me, what we got 13 records. You know, they're all like. We have 13 children.
Right.
They're all a little different, but I love them all. You know.
Why I ask that, though, is that I mean, here you are...
And who's to judge what's better?
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, the pressure was really on, but as far as like you go out touring all the time and then you come back and do another major album, out it would come, back on the road again. And you've shone through all of that, whereas new bands today tend to sort of have, I don't know, sort of some vulnerability and tend to almost disintegrate within, you know, a couple of years because either A, they can't take the pressure, B, it's something else.
I think what most people don't realize is that even though we made our first record in 1977, which was released in '78,
We were together
we
for
had been
about 7 years before that.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
playing in bars, you know, 5 hours a night and that kind of thing. That's what we do. You know, it's what we enjoy. And so as far as pressure, no, the only pressure you put on, or that you get, is that you put on yourself.
Right.
When you try to drive yourself further.